Hey there, welcome to the channel. First time here? Please subscribe and share the video with someone who'd enjoy it. Comment your location. I appreciate every comment. Let's jump into it. Christmas morning should have been a happy time spent with loved ones and exchanging gifts. But instead, my wife handed me divorce papers right there, in front of her entire family. The room froze for just a few moments, and then her mother clapped. Her sister quickly joined in, and soon the whole living room was cheering, as if I'd just announced my permanent departure. Her mother, beaming, said, "She's been unhappy for a long time. You two were never really right for each other." I glanced around. Her father nodded with approval. Her brother raised his coffee mug in a sarcastic toast, and even her teenage nephew smirked from behind his phone. It was clear this wasn't a surprise to them. She had told them her plan ahead of time, and they had all shown up to witness my embarrassment. My wife crossed her arms, clearly waiting for me to fall apart, argue, or create some kind of scene. She wanted drama and for her family to see me lose control. Instead, I calmly folded the papers and slid them into my back pocket. "Interesting timing," I said evenly. "Christmas morning and all." She replied coolly, "Let's not drag this out. We both know this marriage is done. I'm just being upfront." Her sister laughed loudly. "Up front?" "She's been planning this for weeks. We all have. You have no idea how happy we are." I looked around again. Every person there saw me as the problem, like I was a weight finally lifted from their perfect little family. But they didn't realize what was coming next. I reached into my jacket and pulled out an envelope. "Since honesty is the theme today," I said, holding it out to my wife, "I've got something for you too. Go ahead, open it. After all, you wanted an audience." Her mother leaned forward suspiciously. "What's this about?" she asked. "No games," I answered calmly. She handed me papers, so I'm handing her papers. Seems fair, doesn't it? My wife grabbed the envelope from me, trying to look confident, but I noticed her fingers shaking slightly as she opened it. Her family gathered closer, eager to see what I was up to. The room went still as she unfolded the documents. I watched her expression shift, confusion first, then recognition, and finally panic. She read the first page again, as if hoping she had misunderstood. "What is it?" her sister asked, leaning over to peek. My wife's hands were trembling now. She looked at me wide-eyed, realizing she had miscalculated badly. I gestured toward her. "Go ahead," I said quietly. "Read it aloud. Your family is here to support you." Her voice cracked as she read the heading. "Notice of eviction. 30 days to vacate the property." The excitement in the room disappeared immediately. Her mother's satisfied smile faded into shock. Her sister stopped mid-laugh. Even her nephew looked up from his phone. "What's this about?" her father asked, his voice suddenly serious. She kept reading, her voice softer with each line. "Failure to comply, legal action, all belongings must be removed." Her mother turned to me, confused. "But you two own that house." I smiled. "Actually, no. I bought that house 2 years before we got married. Her name was never on the deed." The silence was almost deafening. Everyone sat there, stunned, processing what this meant. My wife sank into a chair, her legs seemingly unable to hold her. "You can't just kick me out," she stammered. "I live there. I have rights." I raised an eyebrow. "What rights exactly?" "You're not on the mortgage, not on the deed, and you didn't help with the down payment. Legally speaking, you're just a tenant, and as your landlord, I'm giving you notice." Her brother puffed up and stood as if ready to confront me. "You can't do this. This is cruel. She's your wife." "Was my wife," I corrected. "She handed me divorce papers this morning. She doesn't want to be married anymore. Can't have it both ways. Either we're married and work through things together, or we're not married and she finds somewhere else to live." Her mother's face turned red with anger. "Where's she supposed to go?" she demanded. "That's no longer my concern," I replied calmly, leaning back in my chair. She made her choice. Adult decisions come with adult consequences. My wife frantically flipped through the documents, searching for some loophole. "You can't do this at Christmas," she cried. I shrugged. "The notice is dated December 1st. I've had it for 3 weeks just waiting for the right time, and today felt like perfect timing." Her family exploded in angry shouts, calling me heartless, spiteful, cruel. But something stood out to me. Not one of them offered her a place to stay. They were outraged on her behalf, but not a single person said, "Come live with me." "You planned this," my wife said, shaking with fury. "You knew I was going to ask for a divorce." I met her gaze calmly. "I suspected," I admitted. Hard not to notice when someone is barely home and always guarding their phone. "But I wasn't sure until you handed me those papers this morning." Her sister's mouth dropped open in shock. "You've been planning this eviction for weeks," she said. "Yes, I had. I've decided I need to protect myself." There's a big distinction there. Not just reacting, but being deliberate. Over the last few months, I've realized something about your sister. She's a master at coming up with plans that work in her favor, but she never stops to think about what happens next. It never crosses her mind that other people, like me, might have plans too. My wife looked like she was on the verge of tears, but I wasn't about to stop. For years, this family treated me as if I was unworthy of her. It was time for them to finally see who she really was. My wife suddenly stood, knocking eviction papers to the floor. "This is crazy," she insisted. "I've helped pay for that house. I've made payments too." "Really?" I asked calmly, pulling out my phone. "Show everyone exactly what payments you've been making." She froze. Her family stared at her, waiting for proof, but her silence told them everything. "The mortgage? That comes straight from my account," I explained. "Property taxes, insurance, utilities, even the grocery bill, all paid by me. So please, enlighten us. Which payments have you made?" Her mother tried to defend her. "She contributes in other ways. She keeps the home running, cooks meals." "She hasn't cooked anything in months," I cut in. "The only thing she cleans is her makeup from the bathroom counter, and that's when she's actually here." My wife's face was flushed now. "You're making me sound like I don't do anything," she snapped. "I'm not making you sound like anything," I replied evenly. "I'm just laying out the facts. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you do have legal rights to the house." I reached into my pocket and pulled out another paper. "That's why I had my lawyer prepare this summary," I said as her father narrowed his eyes. "Lawyer? What lawyer?" he asked. "The one I hired 6 weeks ago," I answered, unfolding the document, "right after I found those credit card statements you tried to hide." Her expression changed instantly. "What credit card statements?" she asked, her voice suddenly small. "The ones for accounts you secretly opened under your maiden name," I said. "The ones showing over $23,000 of debt that I didn't know about, while you were telling me we needed to cut back on spending." Her brother looked stunned. "That can't be true," he murmured. I handed him the paper. "Read for yourself," I said. Designer clothes, expensive dinners I never attended, hotel stays while she claimed she was visiting friends. She's been leading a double life for months. As he read, the room fell silent, and I could see his expression shift with every line. When he finally looked up, his eyes met his sister's, as if he didn't recognize her anymore. "This says you owe nearly $30,000, he said quietly. "It's not that simple," she protested weakly. "I was going to tell him. I just needed time to figure it out." Her mother took the paper, her face tightening as she read aloud. "Jewelry? Spa visits? A weekend at the Ritz-Carlton?" "I needed those things," my wife insisted, her voice cracking. "I was stressed. Our marriage was falling apart. I deserved to treat myself." "With money you didn't have?" her father said coldly. "Money you hid from your husband?" I leaned back, watching as they all started to see her differently. Just moments ago they were happy to see me go. Now they were looking at their daughter and sister like a stranger. "And the best part," I added, "is that under the law, because we're married, I would normally be responsible for her debts. But since she filed for divorce and opened these accounts in secret, My lawyer believes we have a strong case for fraud. Her eyes widened. Fraud? She repeated, alarmed. Yes, financial fraud against a spouse is a very real thing, I replied. Look it up. I stood and straightened my jacket. So here's how this is going to go. You have 30 days to leave my house. You have 90 days to figure out how you'll repay the money you took. And you have until the divorce is finalized to decide whether we resolve this quietly or whether I take legal action. Her family was frozen, shocked into silence. The woman they'd championed had just been exposed and they didn't know how to respond. Her mother finally spoke. Wait a minute. You're being unreasonable. Every marriage has issues, but you don't just throw someone out. I laughed softly. She threw herself out the day she filed for divorce. I'm just making it official. Her father stepped in, trying to mediate. Look, you're both upset. Why not take some time, cool off, and work this out sensibly? We tried that already, I told him. But it's hard to work things out with someone who lies about everything. Isn't that right, sweetheart? Why don't you tell them about the gambling? Her face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about, she said quickly. I pulled up another screenshot on my phone. Online poker, sports betting, slot machines, all from her laptop, all charged to those secret credit cards. $2,700 just in October. Her brother grabbed my phone, scanning the screen. Good grief, how much did you lose? It's not losing, she protested. It's entertainment, everyone does it. Not everyone hides it from their spouse, her sister said sharply. Not everyone goes into debt for it. I could see it happening. The same family that had backed her moments earlier was now turning on her. And just so you know, I continued, she even tried to raid our joint savings to cover her losses. 3 withdrawals of $2,000 each, money we were saving for our spring vacation. Her mother sank into a chair. You spent their vacation money gambling? She whispered, as if she couldn't believe it. The truth was finally out. I had intended to repay it all, my wife argued. She insisted she had a plan, convinced she was on the verge of a big win. Her father, clearly disappointed, shook his head. That's what people with addictions always claim, he muttered. She shot back angrily. I'm not addicted and I don't need this from any of you. You should be supporting me. Her brother jumped in. Supporting what exactly? The lies? The theft? Wasting away your future? I quietly watched as their family unity unraveled before me, secretly satisfied. For years, they treated me like I wasn't worthy of their precious daughter. Now, at last, they saw the reality I'd been facing for a long time. I finally spoke up, calmly addressing everyone. Here's what's really going on. She got herself into serious financial trouble. She knew I'd discover it sooner or later, so she tried to file for divorce and take half of everything I own, hoping for a clean break and leaving me stuck with the mess. Her mother turned to her, asking quietly, Is that true? The silence that followed said it all. I went on. But her plan didn't work. She assumed that being married meant she could automatically claim everything as hers. She thought I'd just give in and let her take it all. She guessed wrong. Her sister sat there shaking her head in disbelief. This is unbelievable. How did we not know any of this? I answered simply, because she's an expert at lying. She fooled me for months too. But eventually, truth has a way of surfacing. My wife was now crying, but her tears were not from sorrow. They were from anger. You set this whole thing up. You trapped me, she shouted. I calmly replied, No, I protected myself. That's not the same thing. You made your decisions. I just ensured I wouldn't go down with you. Her father looked at me differently now, maybe even with a bit of respect. He asked, How long have you known? About her debt? 6 weeks? About her gambling? A few weeks? About the divorce plan? I suspected it 2 weeks ago, but I wanted to see how far she'd take it. Turns out pretty far, I explained. The room fell into an uncomfortable silence as they all processed what had happened. My wife was finally realizing that her big plan had completely collapsed. She slumped back in her chair, suddenly aware of what she had truly lost. Can we please talk about this privately? She asked desperately. Maybe we can still work this out." "Work out what exactly?" I asked her. "You handed me divorce papers in front of your entire family. You made this public, so let's keep it that way." Her mother looked around awkwardly. Maybe you can stay with us for a while, dear, until you figure things out." But the silence that followed told the real story. Her father shifted uneasily, her brother avoided eye contact, and her sister looked down at the floor. Then her father spoke up slowly. "Actually, our guest room is being renovated, and with your mother's health issues, we really can't handle extra stress right now." My wife stared at them, shocked. "Are you serious? I'm your daughter." Her mother gently responded, "You are our daughter, and we love you. But you're an adult who made a lot of bad choices. We can't continue to enable this." Her sister quietly added that their house didn't have space either. One by one, they all stepped back. The very people who'd cheered her on as she served me divorce papers were now unwilling to help her face the consequences. "So that's it?" she said, her voice trembling. "You're all just leaving me?" Her brother spoke softly. "We're not abandoning you. But you need to take responsibility and figure out how to fix this." Then she turned to me, pleading, "Please, I made mistakes, I admit it. We can go to counseling. I'll repay the money." "With what?" I asked quietly. "You have no job, no savings, and no credit left after maxing out all those cards." "I'll get a job. I'll do whatever it takes," she begged. I looked at her for a long time. Maybe 6 months ago, maybe even 6 weeks ago, that might have meant something. But not now. Then I added, "You know the ironic thing? If you had just come to me and told me about the money trouble, we could have solved it together. If you'd admitted your gambling problem, we could have worked on it. If you'd just been honest, we might have saved this marriage." "I'm being honest now," she cried. "No," I replied firmly. "You're being desperate. There's a big difference." I stood up and walked toward the door. "You chose this path when you lied, stole, and tried to manipulate your way out. You made this a public scene when you handed me those papers in front of everyone." Her family sat there silently as she finally broke down completely. The confident, scheming woman who had orchestrated all of this was gone. Now she was just someone who finally understood what she'd thrown away. 30 days, I said as I paused at the door. "That's what the law gives you. That's what you'll have. Use them wisely." Her mother called after me, "Where are you going?" I turned and answered calmly, "Home, to my house, to begin the rest of my life without someone who thought I'd just let her ruin me." As I walked to my car, I could still hear her sobbing inside. Her family was trying to comfort her, but the tone was different now. The celebration they'd started had quietly come to an end. I sat quietly in my car, trying to make sense of what had just unfolded. For months, I'd felt trapped in self-doubt, questioning my own sanity, unsure if I was the one to blame. But now I finally saw things clearly, and that clarity brought an incredible sense of freedom. Just 3 weeks later, I found myself at home, truly savoring the quiet. No chaos, no deceit, no anxious tiptoeing around wondering when the next financial disaster would strike. Just peace. She'd packed up and left 2 days earlier, taking only what truly belonged to her. In reality, that wasn't much. Some clothes, personal things, and a mountain of debt. $30,000 that was now entirely hers to worry about. The divorce was moving fast. When one side has proof of financial wrongdoing and there are no major assets to fight over, lawyers waste no time. My lawyer predicted everything would be finalized within a month. I'd already changed the locks and the alarm code right after she left. Funny how much more secure your home feels when you no longer have to worry about betrayal happening right under your nose. Then my phone buzzed, a text from her sister. "She's staying at a motel downtown, lost her retail job for missing too many shifts, thought you should know." I didn't answer. Her family had made their opinion clear on Christmas morning, celebrating when they thought I'd be the one kicked out. Now they seemed to expect me to feel sympathy for her situation. But that wasn't my responsibility. The house felt different now, almost larger. I'd moved things around, cleared out anything that brought back memories of her lies. The hidden credit card bills I found in her jewelry box were now safely in my lawyer's possession. The gambling apps she'd tried to erase from her laptop? A digital forensics expert had recovered them. Every detail was documented. The legal process was moving quickly and decisively. My lawyer called just the day before to tell me she'd tried to fight her eviction, claiming I'd abandoned her with no support. The judge looked over the evidence and dismissed her claim in less than 10 minutes. Financial deception during a marriage, paired with divorce proceedings, left her no ground to stand on. I stepped into my kitchen and opened the fridge. It was actually stocked with food now. Amazing how much more affordable life is when you're no longer unknowingly supporting someone's gambling habit. Then the doorbell rang. I peeked outside and there she was, looking smaller than I remembered. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "I need to talk," she said. "We'll be divorced in 3 weeks. If you have something to say, you can go through your lawyer," I replied. "I can't afford a lawyer anymore," she admitted. For a brief second, I almost pitied her. Almost. But then all those secret expenses and endless lies rushed back to me. "That's not my concern," I told her. "I'm sleeping in my car," she added softly. "You're 32, college-educated. You'll figure something out." She looked at me as if seeing a stranger. "What happened to you? You used to care about people." "I still do," I answered. "But now I understand the difference between people who truly need help and those who just take advantage." She stayed there a moment longer, probably hoping I'd soften, that some old version of me would reappear and let her back in. But that person was gone. He disappeared somewhere between uncovering those debts and realizing she'd been setting me up for weeks. "The man I married wouldn't have done this," she finally said. "And the woman I married wouldn't have made it necessary," I replied, closing the door gently but firmly. I watched from the window as she sat in her car for a while, likely crying, possibly waiting for me to come out. But I didn't. Half a year ago, I believed it was my duty to rescue her from her problems. Now I understood my real task was to rescue myself. From her. It was the best choice I ever made.